Aloha, spooky nerds. And of course, happy Halloween. As you know, I'm Aaron Sagers, author, journalist, researcher of all things weird, and currently can be seen on Discovery Plus and Travel Channel's Paranormal Caught on Camera. But here today, we are with Den of Geek, and I'm excited to talk to these two guys today because, well, Discovery Plus has a lot of paranormal and unexplained content. And they have been celebrating Ghosttober all month, but they are wrapping up the month with a very big treat on October 31st. And we're not talking about like a little candy corn treat, but a big full size candy bar of a treat in the form of Ghost Hunters Taps Returns. That's right. Ghost Hunters comes exclusively to Discovery Plus with a brand new season featuring original team leader and founder of TAPS, Jason Hawes, joined by lead investigator Steve Gonsalves and investigator Dave Tango and Sherry D. Benedetti. And with this Halloween event, which kicks off this new run, the TAPS team take back the paranormal reins in epic haunted locations. And they're going to join the hunt. They're going to kick things off inside of one of America's scariest prisons. They'll also be joined along the way with familiar faces, and special guests, including Adam Barry, Amy Bruni, and Dustin Perry. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring these guys in. These icons, and I don't use that word lightly. It's true. Icons of paranormal pop culture who changed the game. I think it was 17 years ago. The founder of TAPS, leader of Ghost Hunters, Jason Hawes, and lead investigator Steve Gonsalves. So let me bring these guys in. And there they are. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, how are
Hey,
you?
Aaron.
I'm
What's going
great. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Yeah, it does feel like I just saw you, I don't know, 48 hours ago, 72 hours ago.
Yeah, about there. Yeah, jeez.
You did.
I wanted to say, at first I was going to say, welcome back, Ghost Hunters, even though you two have never left. I mean, they say Taps return, but Jason, Taps never really went anywhere, right?
No, I mean Taps is still to this day the highest hit paranormal website, highest visited paranormal website in the world. And I mean, even when we were off doing Ghost Nation, I mean Taps still existed. But yeah, we're happy to take the reins back on Ghost Hunters as a group, as Taps team, and keep on going on with the baby that we created again, like you said, 17 years ago.
Yeah. Steve, looking back 17 years, I mean, when people were first introduced to Ghost Hunters in 2004, you guys, and Jason, I want you to weigh in as well, but you guys were there to help clients. But as a result, the show was normalizing the conversation about the paranormal. And this was at the same time that social media was coming into being and people were no longer confined by city limits or even state or country limits to talk about these things. So many years later, we still talk about the paranormal and social media has dominated our lives. Steve, what would you say is the mission now of Ghost Hunters?
That's a good question because it may have changed a bit, but it hasn't. We very much are still there to help people that call us in. When we first started, the paranormal was in a place that you couldn't really talk about it without being a bit made fun of, honestly. So, one of the things that was a problem for us in the beginning was, sure, TV and all, but we can't bring cameras to anybody's house that we're investigating or a business. They don't want anybody to know their house is haunted. And, it wasn't until honestly about the end of season 2 of Ghost Hunters where I saw a big shift. For a while it was like, you're that weirdo that runs around in the dark, right? And they would, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted their pictures taken with us. And it was right at about, I'd say middle to end of season 2, but it has come a long way. The show, our mission statement is the same. We're doing some larger places again, like Missouri State Pen and a few other, but there still has to be that mission statement of helping somebody. The days of just investigating a place for our own investigative needs has kind of gone. Even Missouri State Pen, we're there to help them, not just to investigate it for ourselves.
And Jason, do you want to add to that as well about the mission?
Well, pretty much as Steve said, I mean, it's always been about helping those we can. And yeah, we might do some bigger locations, but we also do some residential cases as well. Of course, the whole thing with COVID has, made things a little more difficult. But I mean, our mission is still the same that it's always been. And a lot of people don't realize. I mean, we existed 15 years prior to doing television, and even during the time that we decided to stop doing Ghost Hunters in the past, we were still investigating, and up until when we decided to do Ghost Nation, and then when we took back the reins on Ghost Hunters, we've still been investigating, and when all said and done, we'll still be investigating whether the cameras are rolling or not, because that's what it's never been about being on TV. It's always been about helping out those who we can help, and I mean, you got to remember, we turned down doing television. Geez, Steve, what, 5 times we had been
5 times, yeah. It was about 3 years.
yeah, because and the funny joke was, who the heck wants to watch two plumbers and a cop sit around in the dark all the time? But it appeared that a lot of people did, because I mean, Ghost Hunters, when we were doing it, became the highest watched show through cable. It was us and MythBusters pretty much every Wednesday, and they were breaking records. So we're just happy to be doing it again, and doing it again under the name that we love and that we built.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of people tuned in. And uh, Jason, I think I first met you, probably late 2004, early 2005. And I remember when I would see some of the early interviews with people, with you, from like local news channels and whatnot. They didn't quite get it. They didn't, and then they were always playing like the Exorcist theme song music or whatever. Has that changed? Do you think the conversation about the paranormal has become a little bit more evolved in the mainstream?
Oh, I really do. I do. Where it used to be very hokey pokey, now there's been a lot of respect that's been brought to the field. And if Taps and Ghost Hunters has helped make that happen, then I mean that means the world to us, because it's always been about trying to, well, bring respect to this, and just make people feel comfortable talking about it. And I think that we've accomplished a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned October 31st, viewers are getting a big old treat in the form of Ghost Hunters Taps Returns. You guys head to Missouri State Penitentiary, a jail that was found in 1836. It's called I guess, the bloodiest 47 acres. This, you guys actually did previously investigate this location. So, Jay, why return?
Well, it 10 years since we had been there. They had contacted us. They had reached out. They had found new cells, these centennial cells that they actually didn't even know were still there until they started digging. And after that, they started having a lot of activity kicking up again. Now they were having activity since we left, because we never claim we're going somewhere to remove activity. We go there to try to figure out what's going on and help people understand how to coexist, and so forth with it. But since they dug up these cells, they were having activity, everything from doppelgangers to people feeling threatened, being pushed, shoved, these shadow figures walking around, employees quitting because they didn't want to be there at night because they were scared of what was going on. They asked us to come back. We figured, what the heck? I mean, we've been there in the past. Let's go check it out. And we invited some friends from the past who were on Ghost Hunters with us for many years to come hang out with us. And I mean, it was an honor to have them there, and just to be able to get back there and see the place.
Yeah, and the thing that kind of blew me away when I was watching this episode is, yes, the activity is not just, things that go bump in the night or even shadow figures. It is these reports of doppelgangers, these crawlers. Uh, Steve, I want you to kind of speak to why uncovering these centennial cells that had been buried, why uncovering those might lead to an uptick in activity based on your theory.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I don't think anybody can say definitively why there has been an uptick. We can look at some of the patterns, that come along with that, and one of those, variables is that they did uncover these centennial cells. And there is a theory there that anytime you disrupt the ground, anytime you bring something forward that was buried in time, you do see a bit of an uptick there. So I do think it is correlated. To say definitively, I'm not sure we can, but I will say that that pattern exists. That anytime you renovate, anytime you remove earth, anytime that you uncover something, there does seem to be more activity. Now, it could also be that since they're open and exposed, people are there and experiencing it more where they haven't before. So now, tour groups can go through there and look at them. So that could be why they're sort of, claiming to have more experiences. But also, if these minerals, such as limestone quartz, can hold and release energy, most scientists say that it takes some sort of cataclysmic or some sort of rumbling shift in the ground. So maybe that has something to do with it. You start bringing backhoes in there and driving big trucks around. Maybe you're dislodging, some of that trapped energy. I don't think anybody can say definitively, but there are some theories out there. And personally, I think we do sort of believe that uncovering those centennial cells it did lead to a bit of an increase in activity.
Well, and also on that note, they had been hit by a tornado
Mm.
not too long prior. I mean, it decimated some of the buildings, knocked down some of them. Did that help to fuel the activity that was going on there? It's tough to say, but either way, it seemed more active this time than it was the first time we were
That's a great point.
And I feel like I don't know, maybe this is a Steve question initially, but why do you think, because as someone that once that is a former police officer, why might, in your opinion, this activity, why might potential spirits, be directing aggression to the tour guides there?
Yeah, that tour guides for sure. That maybe they're misinterpreting tour guides as corrections officers. Not too sure there, but you have to think if these personalities, if this intelligence transcends, once we all move on. In this case, the prisoners there, seeing someone in a security uniform, seeing somebody with some bit of I don't even know, authority, could bring up some memories, bring up some. Maybe they want to say I was innocent. Maybe they want to say you got me. Sure, who knows really? But I will say that not to give too much away, but we did have some interesting interactions when we brought up some of the new history that we uncovered, like some of the riots that happened and people being killed there, including a few of the guards. So I think that some of the activity there is centered around security and the guards.
well, and with what Steve was saying, and actually, the gentleman who was initially talking to us and telling us about the activity was former law enforcement.
Mm.
So there, some of the guards there have been former law enforcement
Yeah.
slash correctional officers. So is it because of that that they're the ones taking the brunt of this activity? So, and it's very possible. I mean, you got to think that the inmates were under. I mean, they're under serious watch, and those people, the law enforcement, correctional officers, were pretty much the ones who could pass down any judgment or anything that's going to happen to them while they're in there. If they screw up and they do something, these people are penalizing them, and they're taking away certain things that that these people have, which they already barely have anything as it is.
And, I think so. I mean, I think I've been at Eastern State Penitentiary with both of you guys throughout the years at various events and things. And something that seems to come up a lot, people always ask, is why would a prison be haunted? Meaning, if you were a guard there or a prisoner there and you were stuck in there, this is a hell on earth for you. And it's not even the nicest place to work. So why would you might continue to stick around there after you move on?
Well, think of it this way. First off, is it hell on earth or is it the only home you've ever known? So you got to take that into consideration. Some of these people, they go in, they spend their entire life there, they pass away there. No family comes and visits them. Their families have moved on, left the state, and done whatever. So they don't have any place to go. So that is the only home that they've ever known. So why leave it? So that's something that Steve and I had talked about numerous times in the past. If it's the only place that they've known, the only place that they've laid their heads for the last 30 years, 40 years, where they got their meals, where they hung out with their friends during the time that they were allowed outside. It was their life. It was everything to them.
I think we also, as investigators, I don't think any investigator, and if they do say they would know the answer to this question, I would assume they're lying or misinterpreting their information. But I don't think any of us know if there is a choice there or if it's just something that happens. We're not sure if they say, I'm going to stay here for reasons A, B, and C. It might just be something that happens. Also, if it's a residual type of haunting, that's just energy. It wouldn't be that they made that choice. It's just there. And, furthermore, we're not sure what their interpretation of time and space is. It may seem like, why would they stick around there for 150 years? It seems like torture, but to them, it might not be linear. It could just be a moment of a thought. Nobody knows those mechanics. So I think there are a lot of moving parts when trying to figure out why something would be at a place. But as Jay said, it most certainly could be, this is where I spent the last 40 years of my life. This is where I know. This is where my comfort level is. So I don't think anyone can say definitively, but to have theories about it is what's important.
Yeah, and what I find, well, actually, without spoiling anything, there are some very chilling moments in this episode. Specifically, I would say there's these moments in the gas chamber, and I think it was 40 people, at least 40 people were died by execution in this location. So, talk a little bit about investigating this gas chamber. Was that a first for you, Steve?
Um, no, I've investigated gas chambers in different places of execution before, but that was the first time I've ever locked myself into a gas chamber, like inside of it. And we closed the doors, and it was a really tough thing. It took Tango and I a good 45 or 50 minutes to hype ourselves up enough to even go in there. We were sort of teetering the line of, is this disrespectful, or should we do it just to get some results and see if we can push this investigation? We decided to do it, and honestly, we got some interactions that we never thought we would ever get. So I think it was a great idea, although honestly it was really scary. It was pretty terrifying. Yeah, it was. Even Jay and I went down there once in a golf cart just to check it out, and we were both kind of looking at each other like, should we, like, this is another level of unsettling.
Yeah. Jason, obviously you're a family man, you're a father, and you go into these locations where there are this once held cold-blooded killers, people who had killed children, and not good people. Maybe there were some people that were wrongly incarcerated, maybe people in there for lesser crimes, but also some the baddest of the bad were there. Do you approach the potential paranormal, the ghosts that are potentially there? Do you try to find empathy at all for these people who committed horrible acts, or how do you kind of grapple with that, because they were horrible people?
Well, and I don't try to give them any empathy or anything of that nature. Yeah, I mean, some of them are the worst of the worst. Let's be honest with you. So my main goal is to try to make contact with them, not to make friends with them. And I have I mean, I have no respect for those individuals who would have caused any harm to a child or taken the life of somebody in some of the manners that these people did. It's disgusting and it's disheartening. So the main thing is trying to connect with them, but to never connect, never to really. I'm not there to be friends. Bottom line,
Yeah.
we're just trying to figure out what's going on and help those who are calling us in, who are in need. But so there's definitely a line there that I refuse to ever cross.
Yeah. Steve, do you want to add to that?
I feel the same way. I do feel it's not really my job to judge them while I'm there. But I'm not there to be friendly with somebody who, did some really disparaging things when they were alive. Yeah, so I'm in that same boat. Not there to make friends. I'm there to just communicate and bring answers to our clients, or if we're there investigating, to just push the field further.
Well, yeah, and let's talk about the clients at large, not just at the penitentiary, but over the course of the years. Do you find that most clients, what do they want to be told? Because as you said, you're not there to necessarily. I've never seen you go in there and say, "Okay, we're clearing this out or exercising or anything." So, do most people just want to be told they aren't crazy? Do they want to be told the place is haunted or not? What is the case now, and has it changed throughout the years, Jason?
Well, of course, most people want to be told that they're not crazy. A lot of people want explanations if it's paranormal or not, and a lot of people are willing to accept your findings if you're able to disprove that it's and prove that it's not anything to do paranormal. I mean, a lot you see that weight come off of their shoulders. A lot of people want real answers. And then, of course, you get those who who really just want their place to be haunted, as we've seen in years past on ghost hunters and stuff. Some people who try to purposely fake evidence in hopes of boosting the name of the place. So you need to always go in with an open mind, and just because you never know who's on the other side of that door, who you're dealing with at that point. But no matter what, you're there to try to figure out what's truly going on. And if they want it to be haunted, and you find out it's not, you're not there to make them happy. You're there to tell them the truth. And I think that that's the most important thing.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Jay just said. I mean, I think that's always been the way that we've investigated, and I think the way that will continue.
Well, I think Jay, you mentioned this really kind of salient point is that you guys have also been not just investigators, but detectives, and not detectives of the paranormal, but of the people themselves. Uh, and over time, I think people have gotten used to, because of you, people have gotten used to the idea of paranormal investigations, and they, throughout the years, have become very familiar with the format of the show, so much so that other people have kind of um, mimicked it and put it out there. Um, are you having to course correct misconceptions about what a paranormal investigator does, because the trend has become the genre, and as a pursuit has become so popular?
Well, yes and no. I try not to course correct anybody. I mean, everybody's going to investigate the paranormal differently. And I think that's what helps push the field forward. Because if everybody just follows the exact same thing we do, you're not really ever going to move forward. So everybody doing it differently, I think, helps push it forward. But yeah, I mean, we have to get in there. We have to truly figure what's going on, and we've always done it our own way. And yeah, you make a great point. I mean, so many shows out there have pretty much copied the format that we've always used. And when we decided we were going to stop doing Ghost Hunters and we started doing a Ghost Nation, we took total control of that show, and we wanted to do things the way we always wanted. We wanted to show an investigation from the beginning to the end, and how everything really went into it, and not have any time limits. I mean, some of these locations we'd spend 2+ weeks at. So when we decided that we were going to take Ghost Hunters back as a team, we wanted to take all those great things that we brought to Ghost Nation and now merge them into what we always did with Ghost Hunters, where the original Ghost Hunters more a preliminary investigation. We're kind of limited on time. We get in there, we do what we can. But now, I mean, we're there for as long as we need. We're doing other things. I mean, we've taken the helm. We're running it, and nobody to answer to. And we're just having fun. We're creating a show that's really following us through our investigation from the beginning to the end. And I think that's important.
Steve, do you have anything to add to that?
You know,
As far as
just to piggyback onto that briefly, um, we are still, investigating the way we always have, but having an emphasis on, the research, having an emphasis on, making sure that it stays true to, what people love with Ghost Hunters, but also how we've grown as investigators over the last 4 or 5 years, I think they'll see that as well. It's going to be a good mix of what people love and remember and some really new, fresh ideas that they're probably not expecting.
And you're
Yeah.
going to see a lot of past investigators showing up on the show, and I think that's
Yeah.
exciting as well. So many people from the years of the original Ghost Hunters. I think it's great, and you're going to see we're all still connected. We're all still friends. We're all still a big family.
Well, we have Joliet Prison next. I think that, we can say that that is announced, but there's a lot more on the way. So, how does the Missouri State Penitentiary rank as far as what else we have down the road? Does it only get crazier from here?
It does. I mean, this is a great investigation, great episode. We have Amy and Adam joining us, and Dustin coming out with us. Who you'll see Dustin on a bunch of the episodes. This place was an amazing location, and we are happy to have this as our first episode back. And we're really looking forward to the rest. I think people are gonna be excited with the stuff we caught. I mean, the evidence we've caught, the experiences we've had, the people that we have joining us on these investigations. It's going to be an exciting season. It really is.
All right. Well, on that note, Jason Hawes, we just lost Steve, but that's okay because we got you. And thank you so much, my friend, for joining us for this. Definitely looking forward to seeing additional episodes of Ghost Hunters on the way. But in the meanwhile, everyone out there, check it out. October 31st, exclusively on Discovery Plus. Ghost Hunters, Taps returns with this guy right here and his crew with Taps. Jason, thanks so much, man, and have a great day and a happy Halloween, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. It's always good seeing you.